further ado, let's talk a little bit about masks while we're on the topic, and then I'll give it to Jerry. So the masks are different kinds. The face mask could be cloth face mask, different material. It could be the N95, which we should reserve for people working directly in contact with sick patients like COVID-19 patients. So don't try to buy them. You won't get them anyway, but if you have them, donate them to the ICU nurses and the ICU docs and emergency room doctors and first responders, because they are getting heavy dose of COVID-19 pathogen directly. So we should reserve for them. Cloth mask, it's very important to wear it. In our office, we have enforced a face mask policy for all patients coming in, and we are wearing it in our office as well. So that way, we don't give our germs to our patient, they don't give it to us. So I think that's a good idea to go out in public and wear it, and I think it will help everyone to keep the curve flat, as we have done well in this. One of the basic rule, what I read is, there was a very good article in New York Times and Huffington Post. Will put a link underneath for the face mask once we're done. You can look into that. There's a couple of videos there too, in case you have want to refresh what Jerry is teaching you. So the 600 thread count pillowcases are a good starting point, because it's very hard to find fabric right now. So if you have a pillowcase, extra pillowcase, the 600 and thread count, that's a good weave in that. So the rule of thumb is, if you hold it against light and you can see through easy, that's not a good material. It needs to have a little bit more thickness to it and weave to it. So thread count of 600, a bed sheet or a pillowcase is a good starting point. The other thing is, if you can add a pocket to it, then you can add a filter. And filter, you can, the CDC is saying you can use the coffee filter, but not a big fan of that. The reason being, it can collect moisture. So once it collects moisture, then it loses its efficacy. So, the other material you can use for filter, which I read is very good, is like a tote bag from, let's say, Publix or any grocery store. That material has similar weave, believe it or not, as N95. So and then you can wash it too, so it's reusable, and and it's easily available, the tote bags. And then the other material which you can use which is really the top of the line, if you really want to get close to N95 kind of efficacy in reducing the inhalation of very small microns viruses, is the HEPA filters. Now, the vacuum bags HEPA filter is a very good material for putting in the inserts. You can cut it out from the vacuum bags. That's the top of the line if you want to really spend money and want to be absolutely protected out there and not inhale someone's viruses. The other material, which is not as expensive as the vacuum bag, is the furnace, the air conditioner furnace filter. But be careful, make sure you get the one without fiberglass. And that's very critical, because if you inhale the fiberglass, then you're causing more problem for yourself long term than getting any benefit. Thank you for watching. The best material, what I researched for the filter, I'm not talking of the mask, Jerry will talk about that. That's a cloth face mask we're using. And we're putting a pocket. Now make sure there is another piece in front of the filter. You do not want to breathe directly from the filter. You want to put another pocket piece in front of it, so that way there's not inhalation of the fiber directly. So coming back to the material to put for the face mask, let's give a recap. So number one is the vacuum HEPA filter. Number two, if you don't want to put that kind of money, then you can use a air conditioner filter, but make sure it's without fiberglass and cut into small pieces, and just take the cardboard out from there. Number three material is the tote bags. That's I think very convenient. You can cut the grocery store tote bag, which has similar weave as N95. And the last material, which I found very interesting and a lot of people have access, is the dried up face wipes, the wet wipes. So if you have wet wipes, let them dry out. The weave is fantastic in that. So the whole concept of the filter is to catch the micron, small micron particles in the weave, and then there is some static to it too, which the HEPA filters do fantastic, and the furnace, air conditioner furnace filter do. So that's about the filters, and I will put a link for her Huffington post which talk at length about which filters to use. Now I'm going to move the attention to our friend Jerry the Great. How you doing, Jerry?